Hello, how are you? My voice didn't want to come out right away. Let's try that again. Hello. Happy Saturday. It is the 6th of November, 2021, which is the first Saturday of the month. And guess what? I have something for you. I've decided to prepare an excerpt from the book that I'm a co-author in. And if you've been following my story on Facebook, you'll know it's called Talitha Koum, Little Girl, Get Up. The book is full of stories of individuals like myself, women in this particular book, who have taken that bold, courageous step of sharing their story in a matter of a few pages. So, it is a condensed version, but for some people that's not enough. They still want some more information. So I have that prepared for you today, and I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs. So here we go. Why wasn't I getting better? When was the misery going to be over? When was the sun going to shine again? When was God going to unbreak my heart? I often wondered if he had forgotten about me or if he was angry with me. I mean, after all, the whole reason why I was in such a mess in the first place was because I had walked away from him when I got grown. Because I wanted to live my life. No more church, no more Jesus, and no more choir rehearsals or Bible reading or thou shalt nots. That was my declaration, and I was determined to stick to it like glue. See, I've never agreed with straddling the fence. If I'm in, I'm in, and if I'm out, then I'm out. There were then and are now no in-betweens and no exceptions. My mother and father divorced when I was a baby in the crib, so I have no memories of them being together as a married couple. I was too young to remember any of the time they spent together as husband and wife. That reality shaped me and predisposed me at a young age and produced an intense desire for a father/daughter relationship. Simultaneously, I grew up not trusting men because of ways that I was mishandled and inappropriately touched by some of them. You know how they are. They are the ones you should have been able to trust, but later realized that you could not. I'm not talking about my daddy or Poppy either. And for those of you who don't know, this is a sidebar. Poppy is my bonus dad who passed away last September. So there I was, yearning for a relationship with the very species that had also hurt and dishonored me. Nonetheless, my desire for connectivity far outweighed my caution and even my discernment at times. I just wanted to be loved, accepted, valued, approved of, and affirmed. The devil saw that disease to please in me and used different males to dishonor me, manipulate me, and bully me into silence. I didn't like the way I felt when they did what they did, and even more so, I disliked the feeling of rejection or disapproval. Sidebar. How much abuse and mishandling have you tolerated for fear of rejection? How much abuse and mishandling have you tolerated for fear of the rejection and disapproval you will receive when you announce that you refuse to tolerate it anymore? I know those are some long paragraphs, but that is an excerpt from my entry in the book, Talitha Koum, Little Girl, Get Up. I just want to reiterate what I've said in previous videos about this collaborative work. It takes a lot for a person to, let me start this sentence over. For a person who's either an introvert, which I used to be, or an extroverted introvert, which I've grown into, and that's what I believe I am now. It's hard for a person like that to open themselves up and share that kind of detail. It took the strength of God for me to write this book. And I can tell you something, since I made the decision to write and be a part of this collaborative work, I feel a level of freedom and self-love and self-acceptance that I don't think I've ever experienced in my life. And, on the other side of this project, before I did the writing, I had no idea that I would feel this way. All I knew was I was uncomfortable with sharing such a personal part of myself with anybody who wanted to see it. That's ultimately what you do when you do a literary work, or when you in some way share details about yourself. But I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm sure you have a story to tell. I'm sure there's something about your life that you've experienced, that you've overcome, and that you are victorious in, that if you're willing to share it, you will bless somebody's life. You will strengthen and encourage someone and give them, I don't want to say give them the permission to do the same, because there's no one stopping other people from doing the same. We kind of sometimes get in our own way, but I will say that it's a type of permission, because when you model that level of courage and strength, then the people who were once telling themselves, hey, I can't do that, they realize, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So let that be an encouragement to you to do that thing that you've been saying you don't want to do, you're afraid to do. Don't walk in fear. Don't allow fear to rob you of one more moment of living your life to the fullest, being authentic, being unafraid and unashamed to just be who you are. The book in and of itself had to be a condensed version of what I've experienced, because of the fact that it's a collaboration. So there are many authors in this book, and it's really hard to give graphic details in such a short, small amount of pages, So there's this pool of life events that we each had to pick from. And from the events that we picked from, we had to be very intentional about the specific details that we shared. And I will tell you, this was spirit led by God for me. I won't speak for the other authors. I'll speak for myself. It was led by the Spirit of God for me, because I didn't tell anyone that I was doing this. None of my friends or family members knew about it. The only ones who knew about it were the people at Fiery Beacon Publishing House, which is a publishing company that put together this collaborative work, led by Brandy Rojas. She's a pastor, so I call her Pastor Brandy Rojas, but that's one of the many hats that she wears. She's a publisher. She's got a publishing company of her own, Fiery Beacon Publishing House. But they're the only ones who knew about it. And I was very intentional about doing that, because, like I said, I wanted to make sure that what I was sharing, I was hearing what God wanted me to hear, as far as what to pull from the pool. And then from that pool of items that were pulled out, what specific details to share. I wanted to be very careful not to misrepresent. And sometimes, sometimes when people write things, you can tell where they are. You can tell if they're still angry. You can tell if they're healing. You can tell if they're healed. And I will say this. I know that I'm growing and I'm stretching as a person. And I know that I've healed a lot from the things I've experienced. I've got some more healing to do. I'm in a process, but I'm definitely in a better place. And I read and reread what I wrote before I submitted it, because I didn't just reread it one time either, but I did that because I wanted to make sure, like I said, I didn't convey any of the hurt or the pain or the frustration or even the anger that I felt when I experienced the things that I spoke about in the book. What I wanted to convey was the power of God in your life to change you and transform you and heal you and help you. And the fact that when you decide to, as my sister Julia says a lot of times, rewrite the story that you tell yourself and change the narrative that's in your mind about the things you've experienced and look at it as a life lesson that you can learn if you just look at it from a different perspective. You know, perspective is everything. It's not what happens to you. It's how you look at it. It's how you respond to it. I used to go around when I was in my 20s. I used to go around and quote this saying I'd heard so many times. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And while that's so true, honestly, at that time in my life, while I had already experienced certain things in life, I was really, I believe, too young and too inexperienced to really understand the full impact of those words and what they really mean. I hadn't really experienced enough of the 10% to understand the 90%. I hadn't. And while I'm still learning and growing and living life now, all these years later, I can definitely say I understand that statement a lot more now than I did back at that time. And it still holds true. Life really is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And this response, this willingness to be vulnerable and share and write a portion of my story, it's a worthy cause. It's a worthy cause. So I'm going to end my video. But I want to encourage you to buy the book. If you'd like an autographed copy, DM me on Facebook. Respond to this video. Send me a message. I'll be more than happy to autograph your book for you. You can order it on Amazon. Or if you'd like me to just get you a copy, let me know. I'll take care of that for you. All right? So have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And ultimately, thank you for opening your heart and being willing to hear what I have to say, not just in this video, but for purchasing the book. And I speak on behalf of the other authors in the book. Thank you on their behalf as well, because while I'm the connection that you have to the book, I know that when you read through the other stories, they will bless your life as well. So happy Saturday. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you in my next video. Take care. Ta-ta. Bye-bye.